You've got a secret admirer. Seven of Pentacles. This is somebody who's been lurking, watching, checking out your social media. This came up in a pick a card reading that I did earlier today, that I posted earlier here on my channel. So for some of you, go back and watch that if you haven't already. But this is definitely a very strong energy at this particular point in time where your vibe, your attitude, your glow up has attracted a lot of eyes to you, and one person very specifically. Yeah, Three of Cups. This is again that energy of like peeping the socials, or somebody that is admiring you from afar, like out and about in the real world. Somebody in your community, somebody in your neighborhood, somebody that works near where you work, or they go to school with you. This can even be like a neighbor. It can be somebody that's like a next door neighbor. For that'll be for somebody. It's like your next door neighbor has a super big crush on you, and there's a sense of like, this couldn't be more perfect. Like, I live here, you live here, so let's get this thing going. Yeah, we've got the Two of Swords. So this person is strategizing, like, what am I going to say? How am I going to approach this person? They love watching. They love lurking. They love everything that they see about you, the vibe that you put off, anything where they may have made like small talk with you already. Like if they're watching you on social media, this can definitely be somebody, that has commented maybe just briefly, or they've liked your post, or they're like habitually watching your stories, things like that, but they haven't made their intentions known. They're sort of feeling things out. They don't want to come across as somebody that's just kind of like, they almost like feel like you're somebody who might get a lot of attention, and you got really good boundaries, you got a lot of discernment. So it's like, I don't want to be like all those other people that are coming in with those cheesy pickup lines, and then you just kind of, brush past me, or you end up blocking me, and then I've blown my chance. So it feels like they're being very discerning, very cautious with how they approach this. Yeah, Three of Swords. It feels like this person has like a deep-seated fear of rejection. There's a sense of like, I got one chance, I got one opportunity. If I misstep, if I say the wrong thing, then the door closes eternally for me as far as this circumstance is concerned. If this is somebody that is in like, your kind of like real life, your everyday life, your physical environment, there's also a sense like, I don't want any awkwardness. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. I don't want to make you feel like you need to sort of change up your routine, or like if it's somebody that's close enough, to be a neighbor, or like really close in the vicinity of you, like where you live, where you go shopping, where you go to work, where you go to school, there's a sense of like, I don't want to knock on the door of potential with you, and you reject me, or I say the wrong thing, or I come across as like too overbearing, or it's too much out of left field, and then that makes you uncomfortable. So this is somebody that feels like that they have really good intentions. This is somebody that, if they play their cards right, and if the chemistry is right, and they kind of make that right move forward, then it's possible to have something that feels like, interesting is the word that's coming through. So it might be something that kind of plays out a little differently than what you'd thought, or the manner in which they approach you, or kind of that venue that you meet them, it's different than anything you've experienced or known, as far as love and romance is concerned before. But for some people, this is going to have some long range potential, like you've looked everywhere for love and it was right in front of you the whole time. For others of you though, this is somebody that brings like a different energy to the table than anything that you've experienced with previous lovers, previous partners. So it's worth your while to check that out. Yeah, Queen of Cups. This is somebody with a lot of love to give. This is somebody that is emotionally ready for whatever can happen. They're attracted to you. They like your vibe. They like your energy. They like the perspective that you bring to the table in whatever form or fashion. They're kind of aware of that, or watching that. But beyond that, there's a sense of like, this is somebody that, if it leads to long-term commitment, they're ready for that. This is somebody that, if it kind of is just a situationship, or, something that is, you go out on a few dates and you don't really mesh with one another, this is somebody that's emotionally mature and evolved enough to be like, hey, no hard feelings, let's just part ways. So it feels like this is something that might be a very refreshing and good experience for you, no matter what direction that it goes in. Yeah, we've got the Nine of Wands. So this is definitely that wounded warrior energy. This person has been through heartbreaks, but they have also evolved from those things. So this is somebody that has broken some kind of pattern in their life. They might possibly be divorced. So they've gone through that process of like, okay, I fell in love with someone, I got married, I tried to build a life, it didn't work out. I had to move forward and kind of like start over again. And so they bring almost like a wisdom with them of what not to do in long-term connections moving forward. For some people, this is a person that has, gone to therapy. They've gotten some self-help. They've taken, ownership and accountability for their role and their own suffering within relationships. And so they bring a level of maturity to the table that might have been missing in other kinds of connections that you've had. For others of you, though, this is somebody that they're trying to branch out into new territory. So if they're approaching you on social media, maybe they've never like done that before. They've never, tried to kind of instigate a connection with someone, or, acted upon like, hey, I find this person attractive, but they're a stranger on the internet. So this may be like a step out of their comfort zone. So with that in mind, it's kind of the sense of like, this person is very determined. Like this is very much an energy of like, I like what I see. I like the vibe that I'm picking up on. I like what I'm sensing out of the potential in this circumstance, or again, any kind of like little interactions that you've had with one another. But this is definitely somebody like you're going to want to be patient with them when they present themselves. They're not rushing towards you. This is somebody that's almost like dipping their toe in the water, and then they'll wade in a little bit deeper. They're going to need some time to acclimate, to the experience of kind of like, if you give them the time of day, if this turns out to be something that like you're interested as well, is like, wow, okay, I took a chance and this worked. In other circumstances, though, this is again somebody that maybe has recently, kind of like got back into the dating world again after a divorce or a long-term breakup, or, somebody that's trying to kind of like do things different at this point in their romantic life compared to what they did in the past that obviously didn't work. And so they're kind of like tiptoeing into this situation. So it's kind of a slow start, but it feels like that might work out for a lot of you who might have been, through the ringer. You got on a roller coaster ride with other people. You move very quickly in situations that this may be something that balances out, where it's like, okay, here's a little bit of intrigue. Here's a little bit of something, but I'm not like forced to get into my feelings too quickly. I'm not like chasing this person and wondering what they are feeling. So this kind of speaks to something that might even be like a prolonged kind of talking stage before it evolves into like, okay, let's get together. Or if this is somebody that is approaching you directly and in person, like in real time, like physically in the real world, then it may be just sort of like, you're having a lot of coffee dates, you're having lunch dates, you're going to the movies, you're hanging out in kind of like group settings. They may invite you out to kind of places that are very sort of like busy, where there's a lot of people around. So it's not like candlelit dinner and the two of us in a quiet booth somewhere, staring into each other's eyes and falling in love. It's kind of like they're capable of that further down the road, but it may be in their comfort zone is sort of like, I need to make sure that we have the abilities to kind of like have these shared experiences with one another, or really get to know one another on like a person to person level before we dip into all those energies of romance. Because this is somebody, again, with like a lot of love to give, but they're not at a point in their life right now of wanting to kind of just give that away to the wrong person. It feels like they're very mindful of the fact as well that like you give off some kind of vibe, some kind of energy, something that makes them feel like, yeah, this would be interesting. This would be, something that's almost like that safety net of kind of like you got the phone screens between the two of you, so there's not like this pressure to act. It might be the first time that they've had like a virtual connection with someone. So they may be kind of like unaware of the concept of like, yeah, you can catch feelings for someone that you're just sitting there, typing with, that you're not having those physical interactions with. So again, this kind of like slow and steady energy feels like it might be sort of like the right approach in this situation. Maybe you've been through things where it's like you developed feelings with people you were communicating with online, and it left you wondering if your intuition was right, or you know, kind of like things got lost in the midst of those communications. So you might be kind of like guarded or hesitant, like, I'm not going down that road with another person again. And then you got this person coming in that's like, I've never done this before. And so it feels like both people's boundaries are really going to align in that sense of like, we need to be cautious with this. We need to be careful with this. You know, we're kind of like venturing out into unknown territory with one another. But this is a really like, this feels like a very kind of like light and refreshing energy. So as much as this person might be kind of like nervous or scared to approach, or again, like they want to say the right thing, they want to do this in the right way, this is something that it's almost like will be very intriguing for you. Something where it almost builds upon like an intellectual connection first and foremost, which may be really what both of you need before kind of like, you know, diving in deep to like, okay, let's explore these feelings, let's explore the sexual aspect of things, you know, kind of like let's get together in a physical sense, or again, if you're like having those physical interactions, let's kind of go somewhere quiet, let's go somewhere private, let's go somewhere, you know, just the two of us, where the mood kind of suggests like, hey, this, you know, may lead to something else. It feels like this is something where in this person's kind of mind is like, I'm open to that. We'll get there when the time is right, but I want to just kind of, I want to come in closer in order to have more of like a one-on-one interaction with you. I want to come in closer to sort of like feel into this energy, feel into this vibe, and see like, is there the potential here between the two of us to build something interesting, or to explore something that could turn into something real. So, those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Please give the video a like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content that I put out. And don't forget to hit that bell button for notifications whenever I post a new video. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another video. Please take care and be well.